Hello and welcome to this special show, Icons of the Indian Economy. The Reserve Bank of India is globally recognized as one of the most sophisticated and knowledgeable central banks. In India's journey from a struggling developing economy to a confident middle-income digital giant, the Reserve Bank of India has played a key role in carefully transitioning banks, debt markets, foreign exchange markets from an era of administered rates to market-determined rates. As part of our Silver Jubilee Year celebrations, CNBC-TV18 is proud to salute three of the more iconic Reserve Bank of India governors who shepherded the economy during its most difficult periods. Dr. Rangarajan occupies a pride of place among India's iconic policymakers. Dr. C. Rangarajan shepherded the Indian banking system and the economy for a decade and a half, first as Deputy Governor of Reserve Bank of India from 1982 to 1992, and then as Governor from 92 to 97. As Governor, Dr. Rangarajan, along with his Finance Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, planned and executed a bold liberalization of the financial sector. Under his watch, lending and deposit rates, which until then were set administratively, were freed and set by the banks themselves. The dollar-rupee exchange rate, which was also administratively set, became market-determined. As banking regulator, Governor Rangarajan brought Indian banks to global standards of income and NPA recognition by implementing the Narasimham Committee recommendations. He also ensured a quantum leap in the Indian banking system by giving banking licenses to private entities. And we now have a host of excellent private banks. Dr. Rangarajan is an inflation warrior, and he nearly stamped out double-digit inflation from India in the 90s. For his outstanding contribution to the economy, he was awarded the Padma Vibhushan in 2002. Post-governorship, he continued to serve the country as the chairman of the 12th Finance Commission. For his intrepid and intelligent leadership of the Indian economy and the financial sector, CNBC-TV18 is honored to award him the title of Icon of the Indian Economy.
Governor Das and friends, I am deeply grateful to you for the award that you have conferred on me this morning. It's a matter of great personal satisfaction, as it is a recognition of one's work. I was in the first year of the college when India gained independence. Thus, I have seen independent India function through my entire adult life. I have seen India's successes and failures, aspirations and disappointments. Now, in the discussion on the performance of the economy, many people start talking about the demand is not increased. Now, when we say that consumption is not increasing, you are caught in a dilemma. On the one hand, we are saying that investment must increase. Then the investment increase must be supported by higher savings. But on the other hand, if you say that it is consumption increase is not there, and that is why the economy is not picking up, it raises a big fundamental issue regarding at what point in the development of the economy the demand factor begins to dominate over the other factor. I think not much discussion has happened on this, and I think we really need to analyze this particular problem. But I don't have that more time, and I will leave it here. But I would finally say, nonetheless, growth by itself is not adequate. I think the benefits of growth must reach out to all segments of the society. Growth and equity must be the two legs on which a nation must walk. If we ignore any one leg, then the nation or the country can only limp along. Growth and equity should not be posed as opposing considerations. but must weave together to produce an acceptable pattern of development. Therein comes economic wisdom or economic statesmanship. I would like to thank Mr. Das, Governor Das, being here and giving the award. He has done an exemplary job as the governor of the Reserve Bank. And he has managed through a turbulent time, which demanded at one time an expansion, at another time a contraction. And the excellence in monetary policy lies not only in saying what is needed to be done, but also in timing. That is critical. When to expand, when to contract, and when to identify. And therefore, I am very happy that the award has been given to me by him. And I also want to congratulate CNBC-TV18 for the very fine work that they have done. As a channel, they have gained reputation for a clear presentation and a depth of analysis. And therefore, I congratulate them, and I am sure they will continue to be in the forefront as they move from the celebration of Silver Jubilee towards the Golden Jubilee. Thank you very much.
Dr. Rangarajan was followed by Dr. Bimal Jalan, who took charge as governor in 1997 in the midst of the Asian currency crisis. An eminent economist educated at Presidency College, Calcutta, and Cambridge and Oxford Universities, UK, Dr. Bimal Jalan has held several high-ranking positions in the Government of India, including Chief Economic Advisor in the 80s, Banking Secretary from 1985 to 1989, and Finance Secretary during the critical period from January 1991 to September 1992, when India faced a severe foreign exchange crisis. Dr. Jalan was part of the core team that successfully navigated the crisis and laid the groundwork for the liberalization of the Indian economy. In September 1997, Dr. Jalan was appointed Governor of the Reserve Bank of India when the country began to feel the impact of the Asian currency crisis. Governor Jalan steadied the rupee and piloted the economy with a mix of rate and reserve requirement hikes. During his tenure, India faced further challenges, including nuclear sanctions imposed by the United States in 1999, followed by the Kargil War, which placed additional fiscal and external financial strain on the economy. Dr. Jalan deftly shepherded the rupee through these challenges, raising dollars through the Resurgent India bonds issued by the State Bank and the Millennium India deposit. Both proved to be excellent confidence-building steps, and by 2001, the rupee was on a robust footing. Post his term as governor, Dr. Jalan served as Member of Parliament in the Rajya Sabha and spearheaded an important committee on the Reserve Bank's capital. For his invaluable contribution to the Indian economy over 3 decades, CNBC-TV18 is honoured to award him the title of Icon of the Indian Economy.
Yeah, thank you so much to CNBC-TV18 for this great honor, and really Lata and their team for coming over and this event. This event gives me an opportunity to reflect upon my career as a good policy maker of the government and the Reserve Bank of India. 2 thoughts come to mind. One, then the aim must always be at a facilitator of public interest and not as controllers of public activity. The second is that policy decisions often involve resolution of competing interests of different stakeholders. While dealing with such situations, we must prioritize the need of the common citizen, and among them from the poorest to the poor. In working with these objectives, I have been very fortunate to have outstanding colleagues and other stakeholders. who have all contributed immensely to the work we are able to do. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge their contribution and express my gratitude. Thank you.
So Bimal's attitude has always been very positive for almost everything. And I remember in the Reserve Bank, he used to say to his people that whenever there's a request, see how you can say yes rather than no. And that, I think, is a great philosophy and a way of working that anyone can follow.
Governor Y.V. Reddy was a key navigator of the Indian economy much before he became Reserve Bank of India Governor in 2003. Dr. Y.V. Reddy has steered the Indian economy through numerous challenges. As Joint Secretary responsible for the balance of payments in 1991, he was part of the team that masterminded shipping Indian gold to secure dollars, saving India from loan default. In the following year, while in the Finance Ministry, he worked with RBI Governor Rangarajan to transition the rupee from an administered to a market-determined exchange rate. In 1996, Dr. Reddy was appointed Deputy Governor of the Reserve Bank of India, where he spearheaded the deepening of the government securities market. From 2003 to 2008, as RBI Governor, he famously smelt the coming global financial crisis and implemented macro-prudential regulations that protected Indian banks from the 2008 Lehman crisis. He also resisted pressure to introduce fancy derivatives, earning accolades from Nobel laureate Joseph Stiglitz, who remarked that the US might have avoided the global financial crisis had Dr. Reddy been its central bank chief. Among his many contributions, Dr. Reddy reformed urban cooperative banks and established the National Payments Council, which later developed the UPI. A staunch advocate for financial inclusion, he launched numerous initiatives to expand rural banking networks and improve access to financial services for underserved communities. In 2010, he was awarded the Padma Vibhushan for exceptional and distinguished service to public affairs. Post-governorship, Dr. Reddy served as the chairman of the 14th Finance Commission, notable for providing states with a fairer share of the fiscal pie. With an extensive academic career spanning over 5 decades, Dr. Reddy's work has focused on economic policy, central banking and public finance, and he has contributed innumerable articles on these topics. For his erudite, tireless and wise navigation of the Indian economy, CNBC-TV18 is honoured to award him the title of Icon of the Indian Economy.
Thank you very much, Lata. Yes, I'm congratulating CNBC-TV18. In fact, I'm not only grateful to you for recognizing me by giving this award, but as much I learned from you people, particularly you on macroeconomics. I owe whatever I have in terms of achieved, in terms of important things in the policy, entirely because of political leadership. Second, I would say the collaborative, so cooperation, coordination among the colleagues, professionals was important. We were recognizing the whole system. In my view, it's a real recognition to the public service rendered by many people of India. Increasingly, public service has become career rather than service. I feel that it's more important to recognize the result in public service. In addition to that, I would say the people of India, from whom I learned a lot. There's no way you can learn things which I learned from books, around half, at best half. The other half came from people. Therefore, in a way, I would say this is a tribute to the people of India. With that, again, let me thank you very much. I dedicate this whole award to my family, particularly my daughter, Kalta Aditya. My wife, of course, is here. Because the family bears the burden. In a increasingly materialistic society, when you live an honest living, family has to support. My family and friends have been of great support to me. I'm grateful to them. And then again, thank you. In particular, CNBC-TV18 and their management. Thank you.
Coming up is an interesting interview with former Governor Y.V. Reddy. Welcome back to our special CNBC-TV18 Honours Icons of the Indian Economy. As part of the channel's Silver Jubilee celebration, CNBC-TV18 felicitates three extraordinary former Reserve Bank of India governors, Dr. C. Rangarajan, Dr. Bimal Jalan and Dr. Y.V. Reddy, with the title Icon of the Indian Economy. We also had the privilege of asking Dr. Y.V. Reddy a few questions on some of his pet topics of financial inclusion and over-financialization of the economy. CNBC-TV18 had the honour of recognizing Dr. Y.V. Reddy, former Reserve Bank of India governor, as one of the icons of the Indian economy on the occasion of our 25th anniversary. Today I have with me the man himself to answer a few questions on the Indian economy. After all, he shepherded it for well over 4 decades, I think. So we really want to learn from him. We want to continue to learn from him. Dr. Reddy, the first question I want to ask you is, the buzzword today is financial inclusion. And if I remember right, you were the first person who used that word. Are you happy with the way financial inclusion has evolved in India?
I was very happy when it was adopted by the rest of the world after the crisis. Well, at the time of the crisis, to fight the crisis, many countries had to support their financial sector. How do you justify supporting financial sector? Equal to financial inclusion was included as an agenda across the board. But as I mentioned before, earlier forum, I'm not exactly happy the way it turned out. I'm not that happy at all, because financial inclusion has resulted in financial explosion. You know,
yes. Financial explosion is very fair, so it's
see,
a fair word.
The point is also, financial inclusion should go with economic inclusion. In my days, I was very particular saying financial inclusion along with economic support program. That was more UNES program also. But nowadays, money is pushed by different financial agencies in the name of financial inclusion. Yes. The idea is not to just push money. It's not meant to be financial expansion, but financial inclusion, not expansion. Again, I would like to make the difference between financial inclusion, political inclusion, social inclusion, economic inclusion. Yes. Economic inclusion and financial inclusion go together. If you divert the two, chance of risk. Then they should follow by social inclusion, finally political inclusion. In Sri Lanka, for instance, some time ago, there was political exclusion of Tamils, but they were never excluded from social inclusion. Thank you. I think that makes clear.
Yes.
I'm not very happy with this. I started financial inclusion. The way it turned out, not that.
Yes.
Inherently it's good, but anything in excess is bad.
Okay, so the point Dr. Reddy is making is that financial inclusion in some times in India, some occasions in India and abroad, has tended to come without economic inclusion. I mean, we saw how microfinance money is being pushed, unsecured credit is being pushed. All these problems are financial pushing without economic inclusion. And of course, there are the bigger problems of financialization, which is my next question to you, sir. When 2008 global financial crisis broke out, you made a speech, I think, in the Central Bankers Conference and in Oxford University, saying that the financial sector has overtaken the economy. Finance, instead of facilitating the economy, is actually overwhelming the economy. Do you still worry that it has become a Frankenstein?
Earlier I was worried, now I'm more than worried. Oh. I'm scared. See, what's happened is, finance should be an enabler, facilitator, not the leader. If finance leads, then you got into a problem. Again, financial sector has a disproportionate way of controlling things because it doesn't reflect any particular activity by itself. So, in a way, therefore, the recent developments input all over the world have made this central bank independence, central bank autonomy. Why central bank independence? Only because they didn't serve anybody's purpose except the ruling party or the finance. But if the finance, technology, and the government, all of them put together, the global society itself is under stress.
Is excluded.
Is under stress. Society or nation doesn't exist anymore. Now everything is finance. My fear is that we may be really getting out of the traditional nation state being the protector of the citizens.
Oh, yes.
The global finance and global technology maybe the nation may be forced to serve the interests of the global finance.
Sector.
Even national governments will be under threat before soon. But it's not deal. You see, life is not deal making. Life is dealing with people, not deal making. Finance will always believe in deal making. Yes. We can elaborate on that.
No, I agree with you, sir. In fact, once in a way, national governments recognize that. In fact, they protested, even the American government protested when Facebook decided to release its own coins, the Libra. Suddenly you realize that the combination of financial sector and big business and big tech is overwhelming even the nation state. So, I mean, what you say is a perceived threat, but only occasionally is the nation state able to fight back. The other question I wanted to ask you is about federalism. I mean, since you were in the 14th Finance Commission and your commission gave states, more money, a larger share of the fiscal pie. What are your thoughts on federalism? Do you think the federal structure is still safe?
See, let me pick up from the word which you said. Central government gave 40%. In the case of true federation, there is no question of giving to states. In fact, you find presently, as the GRE will confirm, the revenues are shared between central and states.
Yeah. I used the wrong word.
No. But the way even the newspaper comes, the money does not even go to consolidated fund. It's outside the consolidated fund. The state share has to take it directly, it goes. But every time the central government releases, who is the central government? It's his share. So fundamentally, it's an attitude point. What's the attitude issue? In my view, if you go back to the structure of the Constitution, the structure of the Constitution is such. We have really three governments. State government, central government, national government.
Okay.
See, the president is national. He operates the national government sometimes central. Same with prime minister. So, comptroller not general. He's supposed to audit states and central budget. How come?
So he's a national institution.
So the national institutions. Governor is a national institution, though he represents the nation at the state, not the central. In my view, governor should represent nation, not the state, not the center. Many examples I can give you. Once you accept that principle, then you won't have this each state government. You see, nobody can accuse Prime Minister Nehru of saying that he was favoring UP. Somebody else now today, somebody can say he's favoring Andhra. If you have a stature of Prime Minister, briefly stated, I want to say, once you understand that in India there are three levels of government, not two: state, center, and national. And central leadership should recognize that sometimes they have to function as national governments rather than central government. Not give an impression. It may not be real. Impression itself is bad. Citizens should say the fight between center and state is national government. So, in fact, the debates in the Finance Commission recommendations to be accepted reflected this. The Finance Commission did not be accepted. Who should accept? The Finance Commission is supposed to have sharing of revenues between center and states. Who should? They say, how can Parliament approve? How can states? Therefore,
it is one of the parties.
Therefore, due to Ambedkar's intervention, it was decided that it will be only placed before the Parliament, not approved by the Parliament, not approved, not placed before the Parliament for information. Okay. So when Finance Commission report is examined by the President, it should examine it as national President and not central government.
Okay, I think that's a very big point that Dr. Reddy is making, that we have to think of the nation. The central government is one of the parties, like the state government, but the central government should act in the national interest. The Prime Minister, Governor, CAG, in fact, the entire bureaucracy and the press should recognize that central government and national interest are two different things. And the third tier, that is the national government, should be the preoccupation when you want to work for the good of the country.
Whenever you want to work together, you should function as national government. Whenever central and states are to, then otherwise you cannot intervene.
Otherwise you'll have a problem. So just a final question. We have this big desire to be a developed nation by 2047. That is 100 years of our independence. What would your advice be, or your observations be, for us to succeed in becoming at least a high-income country, if not a developed nation?
As a country?
Yes.
I don't generally like to think of countries. I like to think of people.
Okay.
That's all. The answer is simple. Always I like to think of people. That's why I emphasize even the access to the word people. We don't serve the countries, we serve the people. Once it's the people, there's no issue of.
Oh, that's a brilliant reply, sir. Because we may be, as an economy, developed,
very big,
and as an economy, maybe third largest, but we have to recognize what is the per capita income, what is the common man of India earning.
The country,
that preoccupation.
See, the fear is that you should not end up with a reputation that here is a very big country with a lot of poor people. That should not be the image that I would like to see. I'd like to see a country where all the people are happy, or at least minimum income, something tolerable, happy, mobile, upwardly mobile. I'd be happy to be a part of that family than a family of very powerful, macho people.
Take your point, sir. Thank you very much indeed for joining us and educating us as to where and how India should head towards a Viksit Bharat. Thank you very much for joining us.